G'day cocktail lovers. As I shoot this video, we're approaching the halfway point of the year. And on that topic, I'd just like to say this is all happening too fast. This is in fact not acceptable that the year's already half gone. I would in fact like to speak to the manager of reality and get some of this sorted, because not only is time going too fast, too many things are happening. I'm really sick of living through multiple events of historical significance, okay? I would like everything to slow down, and maybe if things could just happen one at a time with a decent interval of, maybe a year or two between them. That would be super. But given that we're coming up on July, you may have heard of Dry July, which is an event where people go, you know what, I'm going to not drink alcohol for a month. For many people, it's just a health thing, because there's no doubt, despite what I do on this channel, your health is going to be improved by not drinking a lot of alcohol. But there's also fundraisers, usually for cancer research, so if you know someone who's doing it, by all means get behind them. I'm not doing Dry July, but I want to help the people who are by giving you something more interesting than the average mocktail to drink. Let's face it, most mocktails are just a variety of fruit juices and a mixer. There's not much to them. So I've made a series of milk clarified non-alcoholic mocktails, and I've tried to make them really interesting. I've tried to do something a bit different with each of them to really give you a bit more variety than you might be used to with non-alcoholic beverages. First one I decided to do is a clarified cherry cola. Now, you may not know this, but most colas are acidic enough to curdle milk on their own. So you can make a clarified cola relatively simply. I've gone to a bit more trouble with this, but I'll give you one little tip. When you add the cola to the milk, it foams up into this really gross, scummy stuff, which is not as useful for milk clarifying and filtering as normal beverages in milk are. So one of two things: either put it all through and then restart the clarifying process, or just let the cola go flat before you do it, because fizzy cola will turn into this really creepy, gross, scummy stuff that doesn't help for clarifying. The actual recipe for this is pretty straightforward. I poured in 200 mils of cola, then I added 30 mils of cherry syrup, using up the leftovers from my cocktail cherry jar. And for a bit of taste and to make sure it was acidic enough, I did add 15 mils of lime juice as well. When you get the right sort of separation happening, you pour that through a coffee filter. Like I said, you're probably going to have to do this more than once to get the right result, but you can get a very good result. This is my clarified cherry cola. As I said, the clarification process makes the cola go flat, and that's well and fine, but I thought it might be fun to recarbonate it. Now what I'm about to do, don't try this with a standard soda stream or something similar, because it will go everywhere. If you do anything but plain water in those things, it will go everywhere. During lockdown, one of my purchases was a brand of carbonator that actually has a special attachment that has a pressure release valve on it. So you can carbonate basically anything as long as you're a little bit careful. So that's what we're going to do. And a little pre-warning, I have heard the noise this makes described as the Nazgul from Lord of the Rings screaming, so careful if you're wearing headphones. You can probably hear that struggling to escape. I'm going to have to be very careful with releasing the pressure on this. So after waiting quite a while for the foam to die down, I've got my clarified cherry cola, and it looks fantastic. A couple of little bits of clear ice in there. It's cherry cola. Let's put cherry in there as well. And now for a proper taste. That's really good. It's weird. It doesn't taste like cola anymore. The cherry has come through. You should try it. It's so easy to work with cola. For the next clarified mocktail, I thought we'd go something tropical, because pina colada style drink is one of my favorite ones to milk clarify. It works so well with those flavors. So I was actually also going to use coconut cream as the milk agent rather than dairy milk. It's a little bit fiddly to work with. It didn't come through completely clear, but I think it's going to be good. One of my other hot tips for milk clarifying things is you want to use strong, bold flavors because the clarification process softens a lot of the flavors. So I'll often use tea, and when I use tea in a clarified drink, I make it really strong, much stronger than I drink it. I often like to try and find exotic flavored teas. Fortunately, Mrs. Angry has a bunch of them. And for these ones, I thought a mint tea would be an interesting thing to go with the tropical flavors. So here's how the ingredients went in this one. I put in 100 mils of a strong mint tea, 100 mils of pineapple juice, 30 mils of orange juice, 30 mils of a sugar syrup, and then I added that to around 60 to 75 mils of coconut cream. Give it a bit of a mix, and then you let it settle, and then you filter it through a coffee filter more than once maybe, and you get your end product. This looks pretty clear. Some of the fats from the coconut have come through, so it's not absolutely crystal clear. But another thing, when you do the clarifying process, when it separates, what you actually get is a natural foaming agent. It works for milk anyway. I'm going to see if it works for coconut cream, because what I'm going to do is shake this one, seeing it's not fully clear anyway, and we see if we can get a nice attractive foamy head on it. And that foam came up a treat. Looking like a classy pina colada right now. Let's try it. Okay, that tastes really good. The pineapple, the coconut comes through late. This is really great. It's just a really nice tropical drink and a really interesting mouthfeel from the clarified coconut cream. It's worth a try for sure. My final experiment is a malt flavored cocktail. I was wondering, could I capture some of the flavors that are typically described as tasting notes for whiskies? To which my brain went, no, probably not. This is not going to work. But I took some key tasting notes you often get with whiskies. Malt, cinnamon, even stone fruit flavors. I came up with a recipe, probably not going to taste like whiskey, but it might be nice as just a drink on its own, and we can use our imagination. I was pretty sure one element of the whiskey flavor I wouldn't get was the heat you get from whiskies. Some people in non-alcoholic alternatives put something chili in there, but that's not really the same sort of heat. But when I was thinking I'm going to have some tea in this, I actually found a tea that was a ginger and cinnamon tea, and I thought, that might have, it won't be exactly the right sort of heat, but it might be a bit more like it. So I made some really strong tea, and we'll see what happens from there. Here's how I put it together. I used 30 mils or 1 ounce of lemon juice, then added 30 mils, 1 ounce of peach nectar, then 30 mils of my spiced brown sugar syrup, and then 100 mils of the strong tea. And then I added that to malted milk that had malt powder mixed in with it, again for some malty flavor. Whether it's going to taste like whiskey or not, I thought we should pour it over a nice big chunk of clear ice to really show off the clarification, and let's put a cherry on top. Visually, it's doing a good impression of whiskey, but let's see what it tastes like. The malt comes through, not really whiskey malt flavors. None of the cinnamon or ginger is coming through really strongly. They're just there as a subtext. The malted milk is a really fun touch. I've never done that before. I put like a heap of malt powder in that milk. I think it might have been 50% malt powder, 50% milk. Certainly makes for an interesting drink. You'd need a really good imagination to think this was whiskey, but it's a nice drink. It's non-alcoholic. It can help you through dry July. If you're trying to stay off the booze, but still want something interesting and innovative to drink, these clarified mocktails aren't difficult to make. It's a little bit of time commitment. So you don't want to say, I want one now and make it. You want to plan this the day before so you don't run out of time. And then just put them on some nice clear ice if you have it to really show it off, and do your dry July in style. Cheers.